All right, we thank you for staying with us on Good Morning Nigeria. And just to say that our conversation this morning will focus on enhancing mechanized agriculture. But before we get into that conversation, let's take this background report to set the tone, and then we introduce our guests. Please stay with us.
Some time ago, when the word agriculture is mentioned, what comes to mind is the use of hoes and cutlasses to till the ground for planting. However, far beyond that is the embrace of machines to boost, aid and enhance agricultural activities. Agricultural mechanization portrays the use of machinery to improve farming efficiency. It aims to reduce labor with efficient production outputs. In the world today, and Nigeria not exempted, embracing mechanized agriculture, which involves the use of machinery like tractors, harvesters, and irrigation systems, is crucial for modernizing farming by increasing productivity and food security. It reduces heavy manual labor, saves time, allows for large-scale cultivation, and improves overall yields. Experts believe that to achieve a better agricultural mechanization, funding plays a major role, especially with the heavy cost of acquiring the equipment involved. Agricultural financing is said to encompass not only government funds, but also funds of non-governmental organizations that use matching grants to promote community and sector development, income equality, and local empowerment. Recently, the Nigerian government directed the immediate distribution of heavy-duty farming equipment to enhance agricultural activities in the country on direct purchase, leasing and hiring schemes. Each tractor services approximately 600 hectares per year. The Nigerian government over time has implemented several schemes and programs designed to boost the agricultural sector in the country, including Anchor Borrowers Program, Commercial Agriculture Credit Scheme, and establishment of the Nigeria Incentive-Based Risk Sharing System for Agricultural Lending, NASAL. Now, how much impact has this had on boosting agricultural output in the country? Our guest, already seated in the studio, will be answering this question shortly.
You're right, Oyemi Ajayi, our guests are in the studio to prefer solutions to some of the questions that you have raised in that background report. And, well, let's just bring in our guest one after the other. Let me start by introducing the Chief Executive Secretary, CEO, National Agricultural Development Fund, and that is talking about Mr. Mohammed Ibrahim. Mr. Mohammed Ibrahim, it's good to have you on this program.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Also joining us here on the program is Aisha Yakubu Bako, is the founder, Women in Mechanized Agricultural Association. Madam, you are welcome.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, let me also welcome here in the studio a regular on this program, Architect Kabir Ibrahim, who is President, Nigeria Agribusiness Group. He's a former president of All Farmers Association of Nigeria and Chairman, Board of Trustees, National Agricultural Foundation of Nigeria. A pleasure to welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, Nigeria.
All right, and lastly, but by no means the least, let me welcome via Zoom Ayodeji Shotinri, who is the MD, CEO, Bank of Agriculture. Thank you for joining us on Good Morning Nigeria.
Many thanks, NTA. Good morning, Nigeria. Thanks for having me.
Okay, let's stay with you, Mr. Shotinri, because one of the questions raised by our correspondent is the huge financial implication at acquiring some of these machineries and all that, and equipment. What financing options do you have for farmers, when it comes to acquiring all these agricultural machinery and inputs?
Thank you very much. We should start by appreciating this particular government, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, for this audacious, bold initiative to bring succor to farmers. We have a fleet of 2,000 tractors from Belarus and also about 10,000 implements for Nigerian farmers that will go to Nigerian farmers indirectly because the plan is to have the equipment given to mechanization service providers either to be bought outright or on a lease-to-own model where they pay over a 3 to 5 year period. And not only mechanization service providers only, but also UT mechanization and also women in mechanization. And the options that are available to them is also a bit of down payment and also financing as they work, they pay back till they finish paying within 3 to 5 years as well. So those are the options that are available for mechanization service provider. And what this allows us is to be able to cover over 1.2 million hectares of land with 2,000 tractors. Because if you think about it, in time past, they've been giving tractors either on a lease or even for free to farmers. And if you say we have 2,000 farmers, it costs the government a lot of money. You can only mechanize 2,000 farms. But with the program that His Excellency, our president, has done now, 2,000 tractors will be able to service 1.2 million farms and also support 1.2 million farmers. And we believe that with this program, it's possible to reinvest the monies we get from it into bringing more tractors, complete knockdown. With assembling plant that the president is building here, we can, couple more tractors here and also finance, tractors to the mechanization service providers on a lease-to-own model going forward. And the sustainability part of this is for us to ensure that our tractors are being serviced as a when due. Because you get the latter through technology, through the IoT of things. And the president has graciously approved for the construction of 7 mechanization service centers across the country. And these are mega, service centers that can literally fix every type and any type of tractor, whatever problem the tractors have. So this is the, longevity plan for mechanization in country. This is not a typical government dashing out or distributing tractors. We are selling tractors. However, the president has graciously approved a subsidy, over a 40% subsidy for, potential applicants. These applicants are service providers. I think we have about 100,000 applications for 2,000 tractors, meaning, Nigerians are willing to farm. And we believe this would help us, increase our productivity within the agriculture sector and also expand our coverage in terms of, arable land for cultivation. So these are the plans of this administration, which is very commendable. Thank you.
I would like to stay with you. What got my attention the most is 100,000 applications for 2,000 tractors. And I'm asking, because you are a bank of agriculture, what financing products, does the BOA offer specifically for mechanization so that those who eventually will not get the tractors, of course, a large number from the 100,000, can also, get some leverage? We seem to have temporarily lost connection with Mr. Shoti. We will get back to him with that question when we are able to reconnect with him. But let's get back here in the studio and let me get to Architect Kabir Ibrahim. You've listened to the MD of the Bank of Agric. You lead farmers, you lead farmer groups. What's your immediate reaction? First, to the release of the tractors, and then to the fact that the number doesn't seem to scratch the surface.
Well, look, this is work in progress. Government is doing its best, but I don't think government can provide all the tractors or all the mechanization that is required in Nigeria. He mentioned that the 2,000 tractors will do work on about 1.2, let's say, million hectares. He said 1.2 farmers, but I believe he meant hectares. But we have 40 million hectares in use now. So Nigeria requires over 100,000 tractors to be able to really work there. So the effort of government is commendable, but like Oliver Twist, the farmers need more. You need to put more effort in that, and then the model that he's brought out, let us see how it works. But for me, if we were asked, we would have advised differently. But of course, every administration has got its own methodology. So we wait and see. We watch keenly to what would happen. And the food system is the most important consideration now. If the farmers would augment what they use, hose and cutlasses to produce more, Nigerians would have food security, or at least food sufficiency. And we hope that there will be more tractors. The models that are being churned out would also be discussed with people who have some experience in this business. Because some of us have been there over 20 years. We know exactly how this thing should work. But since we are not asked, we are not able to say anything anymore.
No, but you don't have to. You don't have to be asked.
We preferred solutions to the food system crisis in Nigeria. We wrote copiously. We wrote to the ministry. We even wrote to the president. We spoke with everybody. Unfortunately, we didn't go to the BOA. But since they are under the Ministry of Agriculture, we have seen, we have written to the ministry. We have told the ministry. We were there at the flag off of the 2,000 tractors. We were not invited to the distribution. We don't know the modalities that were used, but I'm happy that service providers that are being given, which is all right, because no one small farmer can really buy the tractors as they are. And then, of course, he mentioned the maintenance and all that, but I don't know where these maintenance units will be, because if I have this tractor in my village, for me to carry it to Abuja, for instance, for this, it means a very vigorous work. So we need to do these maintenance services at the grassroots level everywhere in Nigeria. The concept that we had was that there would be service centers in the local governments or even in some of the wards, so that these tractors will go from the farm. If they need to do anything, they will just go there. I mean, but if you centralize them and they have to take how will they bring them on low beds? And then time will be lost and all that. But, these are left for more details to come out. No, I'm sure his people will give us more detail.
Give us more details of the challenges that you face, especially in assessing all these machinery equipment.
Well, generally speaking, I come from the private sector. I don't believe that government can provide all these things for free.
Yeah.
And even subsidy will only reach, a small number of people. But what should happen is that Nigeria should learn to at least produce some of these things. And no country in the world can be self-sufficient in mechanization without having its own indigenous mechanization effort.
Okay.
So the banks are there. They can offer loans long-term, and this would help people. But the regime that we have now, commercial banks will not lend money for very long periods of time with long tenors and all that. So it's a very difficult thing. The BOA, we thought it was a farmers' bank. Therefore, it should sell equity to even farmers, so that the farmers would have it like what they have in Rabobank in the Netherlands. The farmers will know that when they borrow money, they pay back, and others will get it, because the number of farmers we have in this country is not such that everybody will be given this loan at the same time. But mechanization is key to productivity. You must replace human power with machine power to optimize productivity. Okay. And that's what we look forward to. And I believe this is work in progress and is commendable from the part of government. But we understand that more tractors will come, and the model will be tried, and then if it doesn't work very well, another model will come up, and then you will have a round table to talk about models that should be put in place for everybody to be very happy. Now, food security is sine qua non to livability and to governance. If people are hungry, you cannot govern them well.
If people are hungry, you can't govern them well. Thank you very much, Architect Kabir. Let's bring in the CEO, National Agricultural Development Fund, Mr. Ibrahim. And you've heard the former president of the Farmers Association speak. Well, tell us the strategies that government is actually put in place, especially to implement and to promote mechanization in Nigeria.
Thank you very much. And I think it's very important we start from that strategy.
Okay.
Currently, what the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has is a coordinated strategy that first begins with policy. The policy is the National Agricultural Mechanization Policy. Policy, and then access to skills, access to finance, and then access to these equipments. Combining this strategy is critically important to solve the mechanization challenges that our country has. Within this policy, BOA, there are different pockets of this mechanization that is coming. Our agency is saddled with the responsibility of implementing the 2,000 John Deere tractors. Federal government has started with BOA now implementing the 2,000 Belarus tractors. Within this same coordinated policy, there are different models that he has mentioned that we all intend to take. But beyond just providing these tractors and providing access to finance, there is an important key element that is also critical, which is skills. Okay. So at the NADF, we are also trying to address that skills gap. We have the most modern equipment coming into the country. It's not just the tractors, it's also the combined harvesters and the other thousands of implements that are attached to these thousands of tractors. So we are putting up the Women in Mechanization Agriculture, with also some of the partners we are seeking in to see how we can have skilled personnel that would also man these tractors. As these tractors are going out to our farmers, we are about to start that training. Okay. We've spoken under the larger TVET. We're looking at that policy, looking at also a partnership with ITF so that these skills are real. There are certifications for mechanization, as we've seen in other climes. We try to put that in order, and then as these structures are coming, we're also matching that with skilled personnel. Okay. In terms of deployment, the mantra is not to do things as we always know, we've always done before. We need to change how we're doing, and the involvement and inclusion of mechanized service providers is critically important. Also, I should say that these tractors are also not just difference in models and make, but we are also looking at those sizes that will fit the different agroecological zones of the country. Okay. Where the BOA is now implementing tractors of 80, 90 horsepower, the John Deere tractors, when it comes, that we're implementing are 65, 75 horsepower. Also trying to see that each agroecology has the right type of equipment. So if we're able to match, we have the policy in place. It's the same policy we are going to walk through with different models. We have skills, and then we have different equipment to suit each agroecology. Then I think we are beginning to solve the problem. I agree with him. Government may not be able to solve, but government is a catalyst. What we want to do is to catalyze. We've seen, again, in other climes where you provide, and then the mechanization service providers now begin to. Also, critically important is that we're both looking at, the agencies that are involved are looking at a refinancing model, so that if government provides that seed of the initial 2,000 tractors, we are able to now refinance from those implementing partners and implementing models that we've put in place. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Before I get to you, let me quickly, I see that Mr. Shotin is back with us, so I'd like to get back to him quickly before we lose him again. Now, I was asking earlier, because you had said from what you have found, there's a shortfall between what government has been able to provide and the number of people that were willing, the number of farmers that were willing to access machinery. And so I'm asking, what other banking financing options does the BOA offer, especially when it concerns mechanization, so that the other people who are unable to get tractors can also fit in somewhere?
Thank you, and let me apologize for the breaking transmission. What I was trying to explain to you is we need to move away from the notion of farmers getting tractors for mechanizing their farms. Why? Because a farmer is a farmer. He is not a mechanic, neither is he a machine operator. We need to start to promote mechanization service providers in Nigeria to be the one to access mechanization equipment through development platforms like ours, like the Bank of Agriculture and also NADF, where we provide our platform to finance, either the tractors that we've brought on board. As you know, we're talking about the collaboration tractors supplied by our partners Trade, and also the John Deere tractors from the US, which the NDF is handling. We want to support other OEMs to be able to sell through our platforms as well. But, thinking of the impact first rather than the profit, where we can make it easier for the service providers to actually get tractors. So yes, we support, farmers to access services from these MSPs. We also provide financing to the MSPs to acquire more tractors to service farms. Like I was saying earlier, if you have 2,000 tractors like we have, we're expecting another 2,000 financed by government. Those 4,000 tractors are able to support every farmer that has 1 hectare, because we expect them to do 600 hectares a year per tractor. Meaning, if we're able to do 4,000 tractors mechanizing every single year, we'll be servicing 2.4 million farmers on 2.4 million hectares. Even if they do 2 to 3 tons per hectare, in terms of the yields, we're talking about extra 6 million plus tons of food added to our food reserve that guarantees, our food sovereignty. So these plans are well thought out. And in terms of how we create a sustainable mechanism for these mechanization plans, when we have these assembling plants, the sole job of the assembling plants to actually start to train Nigerians on how to couple tractors together before they start to manufacture some parts of the tractors in Nigeria. And construction is starting literally in about 45 days for this. Now, in terms of the mechanization centers we talked about, the mega ones that will be in each geopolitical zone, with Northeast having, 2, one in Gombe, one in Borno State. These will be the largest ones across Africa. Now, the plan for that is to have any huge problem, when you talk about, engine failure or anything which we don't expect, they go to these larger centers. However, we have hubs across the country. Currently, we're going to be starting with, I think, 54 hubs, which will be the second line of defense. Now, the first line of defense are the mobile service stations. We have 36 of them that go to the farm locations to actually service, these tractors, to ensure that they're doing the first line of service as a when due. We're talking about, oil filter change, oil change, and every 250 hours services that's required. When it now comes to things like, you need to look at the fuel injector, you can now go to one of the hubs that we are creating for that. But if it's a bigger problem, then it gets taken to the large mechanization center. So these plans are all within a framework to ensure that, these tractors and other tractors from NADF, other partners that we're going to be having, have a sustainability plan for these tractors. Thank you.
Mr. Shotori, we'll get back to you. Let's come back to the studio, and we'll bring in the founder of Women in Mechanized Agricultural Association, Aisha Yakubu Bako. Tell us your experience. What has been your experience when it comes to agriculture, mechanization, and financing? Tell us your experience.
We started in 2019, and at that time, we saw the gap in mechanization services, not particularly targeted at women, but at farmers as a whole. And we just saw it, or personally, I saw it as a business opportunity and procured a tractor. We were pleasantly surprised to see the payback happen because it was a loan. We were able to pay back within a year, and that led us to take the decision to buy more. Now, it was in the process of acquiring more tractors that I understood that the metrics in acquiring or procuring a tractor is not the same for women as it is for men. I was the first female member of TOFAN, Tractor Owner and Hiring Association. And I mean, the metrics that were put in place, first of all, which I understand, there were concerns that I'm a woman, you know, so how will I pay back the tractor? So the requirements that were put in place for me were a bit more stringent because they were trying to ensure that the tractor was paid 100%. But that meant that there were more requirements for me as a woman. So that led me to start looking around and understanding that, yes, there were actually a lot of women that even had the money to be mechanization service providers. So you don't necessarily have to be driving a tractor to be a service provider. You just have to be a really good investor who understands the business landscape and understands the client. So in 2019, 6 of us came together and we set up Women in Mechanized Agriculture with about 2 tractors, threshers. So we decided to focus on the whole landscape of mechanization. So we have mini tractors, 30 horsepower, 65 horsepower, and now we applied for the larger one. But we have threshers, dryers, every kind of mechanization equipment we use to target. In terms of financing, I think that so in fairness to Bank of Agric and the whole scheme, we don't know Bank of Agric. We don't know anybody there. We just saw that there was an application to apply for tractors, and we applied. Maybe we caught their attention because we were the only female group. However, to be able to apply for the tractors, first of all, we had to take some decisions. For you to buy a 100 horsepower tractor, first of all, you cannot buy that if you don't have an aggregated land of at least 700 hectares. You know, 700 to 1,500 hectares. If not, you can't pay back that tractor. At least within 3 years, you can't. You know, so we had to first of all look for the service off-taker. We had to get farmers together, communities together, put together 700 to 1,000 hectares before we even thought of applying. But that meant money still. You spend the money, aggregate the farmers, talk to the farmers, secure their offtake that they will use your service before you go and take that huge step in acquiring. And in the application process was another difficulty that I see needs to be a bit more stringent for women, because in applying for these tractors, I think it's only our intestines that were not asked for. we statement of account, CAC, everything. And when we looked at that application, we were like, this is not an application for farmers, but yes, service providers are targeted. We understand why they did that. They want to make sure that the right people apply. But I think the moratorium might need to be extended for people like us who have to take that amount of time to make that application. And even the interest rates for the application, I think, can be lowered or renegotiated for women, especially because even getting the offtake, it takes a lot of convincing. We have to go through wives to talk to husbands, to get the husband to agree to use our service. So for us, it's a bit more.
Well, at least you have strategies, and they seem to be working because you are smiling. But give us a sense of how much these tractors are, and what other barriers do women particularly face in accessing, farm machinery?
Okay. So for the products, we picked different ranges, and the range is from 100 to 132 million per head. And for the 65 horsepower, we typically buy it at 40 to 52 million per head as well. So that's, again, not cheap. However, this is, I think, about 10 to 15% of the type of equipment we have. 90% of our equipment are 20 to 30 horsepower tractors that are smaller. They are able to service a farmer, which is our target, women farmers who have less than 1 hectare. So those machines are smaller. We've had support from Propcom Plus and MasterCard Foundation, who helped us kick off to target those kind of service providers and have women become service providers. If those kind of development organizations were not present, I genuinely know that we wouldn't have grown as much as we did, because what they did was to provide a catalytic grant that allowed us to put some things in places, training and the rest. So for women, accessing mechanization as a service, I think needs to be reviewed. There have to be products targeting women specifically as mechanization service providers. A lot of men believe that when women invest in mechanization services, is that we want to be men. We don't want to be men. We're women. We don't want to be men.
You just want to complement
We
their
just
efforts.
want to be able to do business.
Okay.
Let me be clear. We don't want to be men, but we're business women and we want to do business. And I think Naira doesn't have agenda. Wherever there's return on investment, we should be able to tap into that. So financial institutions need to have products that recognize us, and that's where equity comes in. If you're providing a product that targets a mechanization service provider that is a man, recognize that there's a mechanization service that is a woman who has a different kind of need, but will still be able to provide the service and pay back and tailor a product that targets her as a businesswoman.
You said you were able to pay back, I mean, the
first ones we bought, yes.
How were you able to do that?
So we accessed the loan through TOFAN. I was a member of TOFAN.
Yeah.
I was told that I wasn't allowed to buy more than 2 tractors, and at that time we had the capacity to buy 30. So we kind of got some other people to apply, and we were told to put in 30%. So we put in 30% equity, but then TOFAN still demanded that we put 2 months payback in their own account.
Okay.
So that, you see, that made it even more difficult. But later we found out that they made that uniform later on for everybody else. But for TOFAN, they too were looking at it from a business perspective. If you don't pay back, they tap into the money that you've already deposited to ensure that there's no downtime in payback. So we had to put almost 5 months deposit in an account. Imagine if this was just us paying 10% equity and maybe a 1 month payback in the association account. We would have been able to acquire a lot more, service more tractor, more farmers, and pay back earlier. So yeah, but it was FCMB really that worked with us then.
All right, thank
All
you.
right. Let's get back to Architect Kabir Ibrahim. And I wonder, from your perspective, from the private sector perspective, what is the biggest gap in mechanization today?
Well, look, Madam has been able to highlight some of the problems that we have.
Peculiar to women.
No, but women are even more reliable farmers, you know, in terms of my experience and I think the Nigerian experience. But money, purchasing power, it's a very, very crucial element in all this business. But we must overcome it. We must be able to have support from even blended finance, from the public sector and the private sector. All of them should come together, and then we have a pool of resources to be able to really mechanize our agriculture. And then we would be able to export, and we'll be able to earn a lot of money. If you take countries like Turkey, for instance, Turkey is #1 in most of the things, in fruits, in many things, dry fruits and all that. And then it was a policy, and I'm happy the ES said, look, let us cultivate policy, and let us be sure that we implement policy, and then we would get to the promised land. And I'm a policy person. You know that we at NABG we have looked at many policies. We put them on, you know, to the president, and we hope that these things would come on. And we are going to even work on this mechanization again. You know, I'm happy that he mentioned it. We'll collaborate with them. We'll see where we can come in, and then we will have a round table. We'll be able to do that. But Nigeria has got no excuse whatsoever than to mechanize, because now we have about 70% of the population in agriculture. That's not the key. The key in the United States, for instance, farmers are only 2% of the population because of mechanization. Nigeria should approach that. In Europe, they have about 3% of the farmers, population of the farmers doing everything in the world. So Nigeria in Africa should be able to mechanize optimally, to be able to replace human power with machine power, and then to be the food basket of Africa. And there are many, many opportunities, because Africa is just one market now, through AFTA. So the gap I see is lack of proper investment from the private sector. The private sector is still lethargic in terms of putting real money in this. Government alone, especially the federal government, cannot do it alone. All the subnationals must coalesce together with the federal government to put up all that is needed to be able to do this. I think this is the gap that I see.
Okay, thank you very much. Government alone cannot do it, and Mr. Ibrahim also, you mentioned it the other time, but he talked about, having a proper policy in place,
yes,
to promote this mechanized agriculture. We'd like to also remind our viewers that you can send in your comments and questions, and also make this conversation very interactive. So the WhatsApp number is on your screen, is displayed on your screen. Just send us your WhatsApp messages and questions. Just messages, not calling, please. Thank you. Okay. So as I was saying, he talked about the issue of having proper policy in place to promote. What are government policies in place that to ensure of this agricultural mechanization in Nigeria?
So I think for now, the larger policy is the National Agricultural Mechanization Policy. But it's not just about policy. So what is this policy addressing? We can look at it from two different perspectives. Yeah. Now, from the farmer perspective, we have farmers that have fragmented land holding. So how does mechanization work within land titles of 1 hectare, 2 hectare, 3 hectares? What WIMA is doing is one specialist approach that can solve it, that is aggregating farmers. From the financing end, again, we have come to realize that upfront costs are a huge barrier to entry within the agricultural space. So how do we liberalize these costs? And that is what has brought about these different models that are being put up. Must every youth, every woman, every individual, every Nigerian who is interested in agriculture put up 30, 40 million naira to buy a tractor? Okay. Even if you put up this funding, do you have the land that this mechanization equipment would service? And that's where we're looking at this liberalization, if I can call it all in one word, where we're able to provide this mechanization as a service. You don't need to put up that huge capital to own a tractor. You have 10 hectares of land, you know that to do land clearing is 5,000 per hectare, you pay for 5,000 per hectare, and then your land is cleared. So that you are able to now deploy your financing towards other things within your farm. So looking at it, that's one aspect, and I'm very happy that she has mentioned that they only applied to the BOA. So kudos to the BOA, they applied and they've qualified. Again, financing has to be sustainable. Financing has to be very, very sustainable, hence the scrutiny that they went through to ensure that they are the right group. They have also the capability to pay back. I mean, government funding, BOA is strictly commercial. Probably we're a bit different as a development fund. Okay. We always want to match the commercial and the social. But sustainability of finance is key, so that we're able to continue to catalyze and probably open up the space and let the gap that the architect has seen, private sector come in and employ. Major reason why agriculture is being underfunded is the perceived risk with agriculture. So if we do not mitigate those risks, then we'd keep going in a cycle.
All right. Thank you very much, MD. I understand that Madam is leaving us in a bit. So let me direct my last question to you. And I'm asking, how do we ensure that in all of this, that rural women are also reached, not just urban entrepreneurs like yourself?
So to ensure that rural women are reached, there are two ways. One is the direct approach, where women are reached out to directly in their locations. They are approached in their place where they are through their groups, women groups, through their religious areas. I think the second method is also through the likes of us. WIMA is Women in Mechanized Agriculture Association. It's an association that encompasses right now we have, I think, about 840 different groups under us as WIMA. Okay. And each of those groups has mini groups of 7 women who are in really out of reach locations. And our growth has been focused on demand. So we don't just go somewhere and set up a WIMA hub, because we have a mechanization hub. It is the women in a community that decide we want to provide mechanization as a service. They decide the kind of mechanization equipment they want to use, and we set up a hub and put in the machinery in that hub, and they provide the service. But because those women are in remote locations, we have community leads that work with them and then reach out to us in the city, and we act as the bridge, if you like, between the investors in the city and them, the service providers, where they eventually own the machines. So we found that the best way to reach out to women in rural areas mostly are through traditional institutions, religious institutions, markets, funny enough, just
community
general...
leaders?
Sorry?
Community leaders?
Yes, community leaders, yes, community leaders and primary schools. So where they sit together waiting for children to be picked up in schools, that has been one of the strategies we've used and have effectively gotten women in remote locations to join us as members.
Okay, before you go, I think Mr. Ashoteri would like to respond to some of the issues that you raised concerning the stringent measures for women, and also the interest rate, which you complain that is a bit high. Mr. Ashoteri.
For my sister, Aja Aisha, again, we had over 100,000 applications, and we can't shy away from the fact we have only 2,000 tractors, and that's the truth. So what makes anyone who gets it different from the 60 million farmers, if you think farmers should get it, or what makes the 2,000 winners different from the 100,000 100,000 applicants? It has to be the criteria for selection. Again, we're not saying that this is the first and the last one we would ever do. Yes, this is the largest mechanization program ever done in Africa, not just Nigeria, because the president believes in agriculture and he really wants us to achieve food sovereignty in country. And we're trying as much as possible to see how we, qualify the right type of 2,000 people before we now start to, or companies rather, before we now start to relax the, other criteria to do another 2,000 when we get it. And so we are looking to find a way to bring other OEMs on our platform to sell through us. We've been approached by many people, many OEMs from, China saying they can, bring 10,000 tractors, from even India, Sonalika and a few other people. So there will be opportunities for other companies to sell their tractors through us, going through the National Agricultural Mechanization, framework set up by Senator Chiari within the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. We're all working within the framework because we believe it's only one ecosystem. However, whilst we do that, we need to be mindful of the fact we're just starting a program heading towards the right direction for now, where we are looking to ensure that we get it right for the first time. As you know, there are over 1 million tractors in Nigeria that have turned scrap metals or artifacts right now because, the program's going, through. But I've told you how we're acquiring the equipment. We have, at least for spares, at least 5, different sets of spares for each part of the tractor, for each tractor, already on ground. We're offering 2 years service for free. We're having over 54 hubs that's going to be financed with our partners, AFA International, a U.S. agriculture NGO. We're working with, Hello Tractors for technology and other, technology providers to ensure that, these tractors are tracked. We know exactly where they are geolocated, and we know exactly how they work. And we're not going through the whole, drop X amount, pay X amount of money for these services or put X amount of money in our account. We're saying pay as you earn. We want to ensure that we're giving, mechanized service providers the opportunity to be able to work and also pay back something. Let's say you earn 100,000 naira for, the week. What we're asking from you is just 20,000 naira where, it goes towards your repayment. We know you still need money for your fuel, you need money to pay the, tractor driver and all that. So we're ensuring that this is a well thought out program. We're simulating the program and we're improving on it, over time. So it's not a one size fits all. It's a program that we believe should be sustainable. And this is first of its kind, I must say. And again, we will continue to work with likes of yourselves, likes of, other MSPs to ensure that each and every one is given an opportunity to own equipment, use the equipment very well, service the equipment, and also to ensure profitability.
Madam, you have listened to the CEO there, but there is a message for you from one of our viewers. He said, "Good morning, Nigeria. Great Nigerian women are rising beyond measure. Thank you, Ma, for your courage and determination for this input. What man can do, a woman can do better. Let there be a gender equality in Nigeria. Kudos to our women." And this is from Yusuf Olagbewo from Ajaokuta, Kogi State. So we'll allow you to go now. Thank you so much for coming on the program. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
So we'll now go back to other messages, which maybe Mr. Ibrahim will respond to. This one says, "Good morning. My name is Mohammed Awal Musa, a farmer from Green Wall Observers Limited, Kano. What community-led digital finance technologies can facilitate group-owned machinery to ensure that smallholder farmers aren't displaced by high cost, which often leads to rural-urban migration and social unrest in Nigeria?" That is one. The second one is from Larry Ojoko Louise. He said, "My question is to the audience, what is the plan for the entire country in the mechanization and financing for agriculture in other parts of the country? We have a large rice farms in the eastern states. Most of the farm are done manually. What is the effort to finance the farmers so as to ensure enough rice production in the country?"
Thank you very much. In terms of digitization, I think we're in that era where most of this equipment are already digitized. These equipments are able to you are not only able to monitor their location, but you're also able to monitor their utilization. So what it does is that it also gives us, from the financing end, an opportunity to incentivize. Okay. For instance, if a tractor has 2,000 man-hour lifespan per year, then ensuring that you know how much man-hours this tractor has been used will allow you to incentivize so that we promote usage. You do 1,800, you have X% interest drawback. You do 1,600, you have Y% interest drawback. So this is one aspect that solves us from the financing angle and also for the farmer. Okay. Geolocating these tractors also would help government now go away from that era where tractors are being lost. Okay. If you are able to geolocate, you know where your tractors are, and then it will also help you now map each tractor with each aggregation center or each farm. Okay. The benefits of digitization are really, really, too many to mention. They're enormous. And they're enormous. But in terms of mechanization, it's one of those things that have really helped to ensure that mechanization is done right. Going into the second question, I like it because we shouldn't always negate mechanization to tractors. Mechanization has to be tied to value chains. Mechanization from land clearing through to animal, through to plant nutrition, all the way to harvesting. Because one of the major impacts that mechanization will do to the larger agricultural sector is to cut post-harvest losses. Besides improving on productivity, improving on the yield, but it will also help us cut down the post-harvest losses, the very high post-harvest losses we have in this country. Specifically, again, if we're asking for financing, I would say that what is government doing? The NADF is just about 3 years old. We've been here for 2 years old. This is one good point that the government has done by creating a development fund that is specific to agriculture. So we're able to now not only provide funding on a commercial basis, but funding on a concessionary basis, so that we ensure that the different strata of the larger agricultural society is well funded.
All right, thank you very much. Let me take some messages here as we are beginning to run out of time. Now this one reads, good morning panelists. Please, can I know the process required for accessing agricultural loan? Okay, we'll take that later. And this one from Nandom Wuyep in Jos reads, rather than only relying on large imported equipment, there should be a push for low cost, locally fabricated for machinery tailored to local conditions. A scarcity of trained operators and mechanics would lead to poor maintenance and equipment failure. Although Nigeria's overall food inflation has eased significantly, with some reports indicating a drop to single digits, why are protein-rich foods price still high? Thank you for your service. God bless Nigeria, okay? And this other one is from Adeyemi in Ogun State. My question is, the service of mechanization, do we have service centers in Osun State? And where is the location? And also, do they have a website? And secondly, how can I join the organization in Osun State? Thank you, all right? Another one is, NAAMP is a timely investment to boost agricultural productivity. Is it aligned with the SAPZ's project? I wonder what all of this made, man. And good morning, Nigerians, okay? Many thanks, NTA, for today's very germane topic of discussion. The biggest hiccups noticeable in the present agricultural mechanization drive of the government is not just funding, but in the area of planning and execution of the policy. There is no proper coordination and synergy between the relevant ministries and agencies concerned. There is little or no planning along the agri value chains to achieve better management, ensure efficiency, measure progress, avert losses, reduce waste, encourage farmers and people to farm by the government with the assurance of a guaranteed produce off-takers at reasonable price. May God bless Nigeria. This is from Kayode Busari in Lagos. And finally, good morning, discussants. Yes, mechanization is a very good thing to cover all the benefits outlined. My concern, he says, is how can these machines be available to the rich and poor individuals, local governments, and the states across board? It is obvious the tractors and other machines cannot work without human touch and manipulation. However, we should not leave everything for the machines to do for us. Otherwise, human natural capacity will be at stake. This is from Obi King Charles Ike Chuku Abiagom from Ubulubu in Aniocha North Delta State. Now, is Mr. Shotin still with us? Perhaps you would like to respond to some of the issues that have been raised before we get back to the architect here.
Certainly. I will start with the farmers who have produced food and, you know, to be able to encourage them to produce more food. As you know, there's been a mismatch between cost of inputs for production and the current prices of commodities post-harvest. This is due to, you know, the deficit in import parity. And we found a way to, you know, ameliorate this situation where it's actually already designed with the Bank of Agriculture and also the Ministry of Agriculture on how to work on a guaranteed minimum price for all produce done by the farmers. We're looking to move the produce into the strategic grain reserves after aggregation, and to design in partnership with the exchanges, Nigerian Commodity Exchange, and also AFEX and other exchanges, a warehouse receipt system where, you know, every farmer, for whatever they produce, are guaranteed an offtake. Also, in terms of the mechanization centers across, you know, the country, yes, there will be one in Osun, more than one actually in Osun, and in other states as well. You know, every state would have a support system for mechanization across the country. The last question that I believe I should answer is how we look at supporting farmers with using this as a catalyst for other programs like the special agro-processing zone, the SCPs that we mentioned. So this particular mechanization program is not isolated from other programs being done in country, because we believe it's one ecosystem. Either, you know, we're working in mechanization or the Ministry of Agriculture working in the special agro-processing zone. This will be used for primary production, to support primary production to increase productivity, and those produce will go into the special agro-processing zone for processing. We ourselves at the Bank of Agriculture working with NADF on another program to be able to finance farmers at, you know, very low interest rate, many basis points below NPR. We're also doing a smallholder financing and value chain fund, which the President has pushed to approve, a $250 billion to finance farmers across different states. We're looking to start with 2 million farmers this dry season. We've actually started the program, and we're hoping that we'll be able to, you know, push this across all the farming communities and clusters across the country. Many other programs that, you know, I can mention that has been done within the Bank of Agriculture. We're supporting poultry farmers in partnership with Christian Aid and MasterCard Foundation supporting Christian Aid. We're working with Agra. I mean, we have a lot of schemes, programs, and partnerships. But most importantly, we want to use the opportunity to design, you know, frameworks that are more sustainable and long-lasting across the agricultural value chain, where money goes out, you know, to farmers, and we're able to realize the money back. Because in time past, a lot of farmers would access loan from the Bank of Agriculture and they don't pay back. This has eroded share the capital, and this has, I would say, really affected the operations of the bank. With my assumption of office, all that we believe should stop. Any farmer that we are financing, again, if we're financing you at, you know, single digits, we expect you to be more, you know, productive, to be profitable, and to be able to pay back, so that we can in turn finance all the farmers. Because if we finance 2 million farmers this season, we still have over 58 million farmers out of 60 million farmers that we need to finance. And we believe that if we're able to recycle these funds, all farmers will get, you know, funded, and it makes them more productive. So once we're able to achieve this, it guarantees, you know, our food insecurity. It also helps have, you know, enough to actually export as well. These are all the programs within this administration. And don't forget, we're doing this at a very interesting time within that administration where we're paucity of funds. But Mr. President has prioritized agriculture, funding NADF, funding, now they are funding the Ministry of Agriculture and us as well.
Mr. Shotiri, as we begin to wind up on this conversation, Architect Kabir, let's look at the role of your association in promoting, mechanization in this country. Just in 1 minute.
Well, as a private sector, there are many programs that we also have to help people to mechanize. And of course, it's not limited to tractorization. That's why we are talking of mechanization.
Yeah.
Because even in harvest, when you want to harvest fruits, you must be able to have some mechanized way of doing it instead of using your hand to pluck and all that. So by and large, many investors are getting people and crowdfunding them and then making them their outgrowers as a cluster to be able to help, and that is ongoing, and I'm sure we will reach a crescendo someday. Okay. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Brian, as we winding up this, what are the takeaways from this conversation that you would like the viewers to know?
I think what is most important is that the government is working. There's been creation of very strong policy frameworks. There are different models to improve farmer financing that have already been put in place, and more are being put in place. In terms of mechanization, the introduction and promotion of service-based models has come in. There is also investment in infrastructure, and then the skills gap is also about to be filled. This shows that government is working. If we're able to continue on this track, I think Nigeria, and remember, this is the 2,000 tractors is the beginning of that policy. The one we're implementing is also 10,000 tractors over a number of years.
When are you starting the training for this?
It should come by within the second quarter of this year, barring any unforeseen circumstances. So I would say that government is working, and that if we continue on this track, we'll definitely get there.
All right, thank you very much. Let's take the closing remarks of Mr. Shotiri, because we've completely run out of time for this conversation. Your closing remarks, please.
Thank you. I would say we support from every actor within the sector, private sector players within the agriculture sector, associations like NAPG, TOFAN, also parliamentarians, MDAs of government as well, because we believe agriculture is a lifeline of the GDP of. We strongly believe that if we're able to achieve, food sovereignty, excess food produced in Nigeria can be exported to other countries, and it can't be done by us only. It has to be collective effort, all working together. So very happy that we're discussing this. We hope we'll have many more opportunities to talk about all the giant straits this administration is doing within the agriculture sector. And for farmers, please know that we are here to support. As Architect has said, Chairman NABG, it is the farmers' bank. Whether it's government owned, whether we're looking to do divestment later on, it is the farmers' bank. We employ every farmer to apply for facilities, and please know that you have to pay back. We can't afford to, money not coming back. We can't afford high loans. So once we're able to do, can rinse and repeat, continue to finance the sector the right way with all the new policies, frameworks being designed. I am very happy for this, and I think we should continue the conversation at a later time where we continue to discuss, opportunities within the sector and strategies to actually achieve for food sovereignty in Nigeria. Thank you very much for inviting me.
All right. Ayodeji Shotiri, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Bank of Agriculture, we thank you very much. You've joined us via Zoom. We appreciate your time and perspectives.
Thank you very much.
Let me also thank Architect Kabir Ibrahim, President, Nigeria Agribusiness Group, former President of AFAN, and Chairman, Board of Trustees at the National Agricultural Foundation of Nigeria. Always a pleasure having you. We thank you for joining us again today.
Thank you for inviting me.
And let me also thank Mohammed Ibrahim. Executive Secretary and Chief Executive Officer, National Agricultural Development Fund, NADF. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
All right, we also had earlier, we had Aisha Yakubu Bako, founder, Women in Mechanized Agriculture Association, and we appreciate the perspectives that she brought. Thank you very much for this show. Somebody asked us, lamented that many people do not have access to watching this program and they needed it. Well, you can watch again on YouTube later on as we will upload it. Thank you very much. We'll take a break now, and Good Morning Nigeria returns with another conversation on the Electoral Act. There's a repeat broadcast at 5 p.m. Then we upload also later on. So let's take this break and return to discuss the Electoral Act.